Life flowed through the cobblestone streets of San Francisco, the air infused with the delicate scent of cherry blossoms and jasmine climbing the historic Victorian facades. In the distance, the majestic Golden Gate Bridge stood as a sentinel, its silhouette illuminated by the soft glow of dawn. At the heart of this vibrant city, nestled in the hilly enclave of Pacific Heights, was an upscale grocery store frequented by the city's elite. Every Monday, like clockwork, a sleek black Tesla Model S would glide into the parking lot. Its owner, a man of striking presence and quiet elegance, stepped out with the poise of someone used to commanding attention. His name was Miles Davenport, a 35-year-old entrepreneur of Anglo-American descent. Dressed impeccably in a tailored navy suit with subtle modern touches, he radiated an understated power. The crisp morning air carried the lingering notes of his Creed Aventus cologne, a signature scent that left an indelible mark wherever he went. From her position at the express checkout, Amelia Clark, a 24-year-old clerk with a sharp mind and a pragmatic outlook, observed him as he entered the store. As always, Miles moved with purpose, heading straight for the flower section. His routine was as mysterious as it was captivating. He would select 3 perfect red roses, their petals flawless and vibrant, and proceed to the checkout line where Amelia worked. Amelia tried to remain indifferent, her hands busy scanning items for other customers, but there was something about Miles that sparked an unwelcome curiosity in her otherwise logical mind. "He's probably buying those flowers for some supermodel girlfriend," she told herself silently. "Good thing I don't believe in fairy tales like love at first sight." Yet when he reached her register, his polite smile and deep baritone voice, as he said, "Good morning," caused her resolve to waver. For a fleeting moment their eyes met, his a piercing cerulean blue, hers a warm hazel, and the world around them seemed to fade. Amelia quickly regained her composure, responding with a practiced "Good morning" as she scanned the roses and handed him his change. As Miles walked away, the crisp bouquet of roses in hand, Amelia caught herself wondering, for the first time, who they were for. She brushed the thought aside, convinced it was none of her business. Yet her curiosity lingered like the faint trail of his cologne. The following Monday the ritual repeated itself, but this time Amelia felt her heartbeat quicken as the clock struck 9, signaling his imminent arrival. Sure enough, Miles entered the store with the same purposeful stride. As he approached the flower section, Amelia couldn't help but steal glances, drawn by an inexplicable pull. When he came to her register, something unexpected happened. Amelia's curiosity got the better of her. Before she could stop herself, she blurted out, "Excuse me, but who are the roses for?" Miles paused, his expression softening as a faint shadow of sadness crossed his face. "They're for someone who will never see them," he replied simply, his voice tinged with quiet melancholy. The weight of his words left Amelia momentarily speechless. He gave her a small, enigmatic smile before collecting the roses and walking away. Amelia spent the rest of her shift replaying his response in her mind, trying to decipher its meaning. Was it for someone who had passed away? An unrequited love? The mystery of Miles Davenport began to chip away at her carefully constructed walls. That evening, as she walked home along the bustling streets of San Francisco, Amelia felt restless. Her usually calm, grounded demeanor was disrupted by thoughts of Miles and his cryptic answer. Almost without realizing it, she found herself outside a small chapel near her apartment, a place she rarely visited, but felt drawn to tonight. Inside, the quiet atmosphere and flickering candlelight provided an unexpected sense of solace. Amelia knelt briefly, not knowing exactly what she was looking for, but feeling a pull to confront the swirling emotions within her. The following Monday morning, Amelia felt an unusual anticipation as she arrived for her shift. She didn't want to admit it to herself, but part of her was looking forward to seeing Miles again. When his Tesla rolled into the lot right on schedule, she took a steadying breath. This time, Amelia couldn't pretend his presence didn't affect her. As Miles approached the flower section, she watched him select 3 flawless red roses with the same meticulous care as always. When he came to her register, his serene smile was accompanied by a faint warmth that seemed to bridge the space between them. "Good morning," he said, placing the roses on the counter. "Good morning," Amelia replied, her voice steadier than she felt. As she scanned the flowers, she decided to press her luck. "Can I ask you something?" Miles raised a curious brow, nodding. "Of course." Amelia hesitated for a moment before asking, "Why 3 roses? Is it significant?" A wistful smile curved his lips. "3 roses represent something important to me, past, present, and future. It's a promise I made to someone special." Amelia's brow furrowed, a mixture of intrigue and compassion in her expression. "That sounds meaningful." Miles held her gaze for a moment, as if weighing whether to say more, but ultimately he thanked her, took his roses, and left. The routine continued week after week, yet each encounter revealed more layers of intrigue. Amelia found herself looking forward to their brief exchanges, her initial skepticism about love softening into curiosity. She couldn't ignore the spark of something unfamiliar, a connection that felt undeniable yet unspoken. One afternoon after her shift, Amelia was locking up her register when her co-worker Kayla, a bubbly young woman with an unrelenting penchant for gossip, sidled up to her. "You know, that guy with the roses? The one you keep staring at?" Kayla teased. Amelia shot her a warning look. "I don't stare," Kayla laughed. "Sure, whatever you say. But I heard a rumor about him. Supposedly, he lost his fiancée in some tragic accident a few years ago. The flowers? He buys them for her grave." Amelia's stomach dropped at the thought. Could that be true? She didn't want to rely on gossip, but the idea tugged at her heart. If it were true, Miles's quiet sadness made sense, yet it also deepened the mystery of why she felt so drawn to him. The next Monday, Amelia decided to act on an impulse she didn't fully understand. As Miles approached the register, she offered a tentative smile. "Hi, Mr. Davenport." His expression softened, amused by her formality. "Please, call me Miles." "Miles?" she repeated, feeling the name roll off her tongue. "I hope this isn't too forward, but would you like to grab a coffee sometime?" Miles blinked, taken aback by her directness, but then a slow, genuine smile spread across his face. "I'd like that." Later that week, Amelia and Miles met at a cozy cafe tucked into a quiet corner of the city. The atmosphere was warm, with soft jazz playing in the background, and the scent of fresh coffee wafting through the air. Over lattes and pastries, their conversation flowed naturally. Amelia learned about Miles's upbringing, his rise as a tech entrepreneur, and his love for classical literature. In return, she shared her dreams of pursuing a career in art, despite the practical challenges that had kept her working at the grocery store. When the topic of the roses came up, Miles grew quiet. "The truth is," he began, his voice measured, "I buy those roses for someone I lost." Her name was Charlotte. Amelia listened intently as Miles recounted how he and Charlotte had been deeply in love, planning a future together, until she was tragically taken in a car accident. "Every week I bring the roses to her grave," he said. "It's my way of keeping her memory alive." Amelia felt a pang of empathy for him. "That's beautiful," she said softly. "But doesn't it hurt to keep doing it?" Miles met her gaze, his eyes filled with an earnest vulnerability. "It does, but love isn't just about holding on to joy. It's about honoring what was and carrying it forward. For me, those roses remind me of the promises we made, even if she's not here to see them." Amelia felt a lump in her throat. She'd never believed in grand gestures or undying love, but Miles's sincerity made her question everything she thought she knew. As the weeks passed, their friendship deepened. Miles began to see Amelia as more than a kind stranger at the checkout counter. Her grounded outlook and quiet resilience reminded him of something he hadn't realized he was missing: hope. For Amelia, Miles became a window into a world she'd long dismissed, one where love wasn't just an illusion, but a transformative force. One sunny Sunday afternoon, Miles invited Amelia to join him for a walk in Golden Gate Park. The sprawling green space was alive with the sounds of laughter, music, and the gentle rustle of trees in the cool breeze. As they strolled through the park, the air between them felt light, yet charged with an undercurrent of something deeper. Amelia had grown increasingly comfortable with Miles, but questions lingered in her mind. She finally broke the silence as they reached the Conservatory of Flowers. "Miles," she began hesitantly, "do you ever think you'll let go of the roses? Of Charlotte?" Miles slowed his steps, the weight of her question evident in the furrow of his brow. "I've thought about it," he admitted, "but letting go doesn't mean forgetting. I believe we can carry the love we've known while still making room for something new." Amelia looked at him, her heart catching in her chest. "And do you think you're ready for something new?" Miles turned to her, his eyes soft but searching. "I think I'm starting to be." The simplicity of his words stirred something in Amelia, but before she could respond, he reached for her hand. The touch was gentle, tentative, as if testing uncharted waters. She didn't pull away. As the weeks passed, their connection deepened in ways neither of them had anticipated. Their conversations grew more personal, their laughter more frequent, and their silences more comfortable. Miles found himself drawn to Amelia's unpretentious charm, her wit, and the way she seemed to challenge his long-held beliefs without even trying. For Amelia, Miles represented a different kind of life, a world where vulnerability was a strength, where love was not an illusion, but a choice. Slowly but surely, her skepticism began to give way to something she couldn't quite name. One evening, after a long day, Miles invited Amelia to his home, a sleek modern property perched on the hills of Twin Peaks. The panoramic view of the city was breathtaking, but Amelia's attention was drawn to the cozy warmth of the interior: bookshelves filled with classics, artwork that reflected a thoughtful soul, and a fireplace that cast a golden glow over the room. As they shared a quiet dinner, Amelia couldn't shake the feeling that this was where she was meant to be. But doubt crept in too. Could she ever truly fit into his world? And did he see her as more than a temporary comfort? Before she could spiral too far into her thoughts, Miles spoke. "Amelia," he said, his voice steady, but laced with emotion, "I need to tell you something." She set down her glass of wine, bracing herself. "You've become someone I didn't expect," he continued, "someone who's reminded me what it feels like to truly connect with another person. I never thought I'd feel this way again, but here you are." Amelia felt her cheeks flush. "Miles, He held up a hand, a soft smile on his face. "I'm not asking for anything, not yet. I just wanted you to know. You've brought light back into my life in a way I didn't think was possible." Her heart swelled, but fear still lingered. "I'm not Charlotte," she said quietly. Miles reached across the table, taking her hand in his. "I know," he said firmly, "and I don't want you to be. I want you to be Amelia." The next Monday, as Amelia approached the checkout counter for her shift, she noticed something unusual. Miles wasn't there. The clock ticked past 9, and for the first time, his absence left an unexpected void in her day. She tried to brush it off, but unease crept in. Later that afternoon, while stacking shelves, she turned to see Miles standing at the end of the aisle, a small bouquet of wildflowers in his hand instead of the usual roses. Her heart skipped a beat. "What are you doing here?" she asked, trying to mask her surprise. Miles smiled, his presence radiating calm. "I realized something," he said. "The roses were for a memory. These are for the present." Amelia's breath caught as he handed her the bouquet. She looked down at the simple arrangement, daisies, sunflowers, and lavender, and felt a warmth spread through her chest. "Miles," she began, her voice wavering. "Amelia," he interrupted gently, "no matter where this goes, I want you to know that you've already changed my life." The sincerity in his voice unraveled the last of her defenses. She looked up at him, tears threatening to spill. "You've changed mine, too." Their journey together was far from over, but in that moment, as the soft hum of the grocery store buzzed around them, they both knew that they were stepping into something real, something worth fighting for. And for Amelia, the wildflowers in her hands felt like more than a gesture. They felt like a promise of everything still to come. The weeks that followed saw Amelia and Miles growing closer than ever. Their friendship had blossomed into something undeniable, though neither had spoken the words aloud. The lines between their lives blurred as they spent more time together, walking through the city, sharing late-night conversations, and discovering unexpected commonalities. One evening, as twilight painted the San Francisco skyline in hues of gold and lavender, Miles invited Amelia to join him for dinner at his home. He had something special planned, though he kept the details a mystery. When Amelia arrived, she was greeted by the soft glow of candles and the scent of something delicious wafting from the kitchen. Miles appeared, dressed casually but impeccably, his easy smile putting her at ease. "You've been busy," she teased, taking in the scene. "I wanted tonight to be special," he said, leading her to the dining room where a beautifully set table awaited. "There's something I need to tell you." Amelia felt her heart flutter, though she wasn't sure why. "Sounds serious," she joked, trying to mask her sudden nervousness. Miles chuckled softly. "It is, but not in a bad way." He pulled out a chair for her and poured them each a glass of wine before sitting across from her. "Amelia, you've changed my life in ways I didn't think were possible. When I met you, I was stuck in the past, holding on to something because I was afraid to move forward, but you've shown me that it's okay to let go, to live in the present." She looked at him, her chest tightening with emotion. "Miles." He held up a hand, his expression earnest. "Let me finish. I realized something the other day when I was at the florist. For the first time in years, I didn't feel the need to buy roses. Instead, I thought of you, and I knew I wanted to share my future with you, not my past." Amelia felt tears prick her eyes. She had always been so guarded, so skeptical of love. But here was this man laying his heart bare for her. "I don't expect you to have all the answers," Miles continued, "but I needed you to know how I feel." Amelia reached across the table, taking his hand in hers. "You have no idea how much that means to me," she said, her voice trembling. "I've spent my whole life thinking love was just an illusion, but you've shown me something real, something I never thought I'd find." Miles smiled, his eyes softening as he squeezed her hand. "So, where do we go from here?" Amelia laughed through her tears, the sound light and free. "I guess we take it one day at a time." Their relationship deepened in the weeks that followed, but just as they began to settle into this new chapter, life threw them an unexpected curveball. One afternoon, while walking through Union Square, Miles's phone buzzed with an incoming call. He glanced at the screen and his face tightened. Amelia noticed the change immediately. "Everything okay?" she asked. Miles hesitated before answering. "It's Charlotte." Amelia's stomach dropped at the mention of his former fiancée. "Oh." "She's back in town," he said, his voice carefully neutral. "She wants to meet." Amelia forced a smile, though her chest felt heavy. "You should go. It sounds like you two have unfinished business." Miles looked at her, his expression conflicted. "I don't want to do anything that could hurt what we have." "I know," she said, her voice steady despite the turmoil inside her. "But you owe it to yourself to hear what she has to say." Reluctantly, Miles agreed, and the following evening he met Charlotte at a quiet cafe near the waterfront. Amelia waited at home, her mind racing with insecurities and doubts. She trusted Miles, but the thought of him reconnecting with someone he had once loved left her feeling vulnerable in a way she wasn't used to. When Miles returned that night, he found Amelia sitting on the couch, staring out the window at the city lights. He joined her, his expression thoughtful but calm. "So?" she asked, her voice tentative. "She apologized," he said simply, "for leaving the way she did, for not saying goodbye properly. She admitted she made a mistake, but—" Amelia held her breath. "I realized something while I was talking to her," Miles continued. "She's part of my past, and I'll always care about her. But that's where she belongs, my past. You're my future, Amelia. You're the one I want to be with." Relief washed over her, and she let out a shaky laugh. "You're sure?" "I've never been more sure of anything in my life," he said, his voice firm. "I don't need roses to honor the past anymore. I just need you." Amelia felt tears spill over as she leaned into him, their connection stronger than ever. 3 months later, in a sunlit garden overlooking the bay, Amelia and Miles exchanged vows in an intimate ceremony surrounded by family and friends. Wildflowers adorned the venue, a nod to the simplicity and beauty of the love they had built together. As they shared their first kiss as husband and wife, Amelia couldn't help but marvel at how far they had come, from strangers with guarded hearts to partners ready to face the world together. For the first time, she truly believed in love, not the fleeting kind, but the kind that stays, grows, and transforms. And as the wind carried the scent of wildflowers through the air, Amelia knew one thing for certain: this was just the beginning. Thank you for listening. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more inspiring stories. Let us know your thoughts below. Do you believe in love at first sight, or is it something you grow into? Share your views, and we'll see you in the next video.